Hi guys, how are you? I have both the Interceptor 650 and the KTM 390 Adventure, which basically fall in the same price range. They're around three and a half, four, actually 340 to 380. And why I'm comparing both of these is because first of them I own both of them, so I can give you a more of a user kind of review. And secondly, they both are used for the same purpose, touring. Now I know one is the adventure tourer, the KTM, and then the Interceptor is another kind of a cruiser. But because they fall in the same price range and they're used for the same purpose, so they actually do compete with each other. I'll just go over the features one by one for both of them. I have the ride reviews on my YouTube channel. You can just go there. The link is in my bio, and I'll just go through them standing here and just tell you what exactly what does. So you'll get a fair idea if you want to buy either of them, that which is the better bike. So let's start the comparison. Now, of course, you can see the Interceptor here. So basically, let's just talk about the styling first. So the KTM does look more imposing than the Interceptor because it's a bigger bike. It looks much bigger. It looks like a bigger bike. If you're going on the road, people probably feel that this is probably a more expensive bike than the Enfield because the way it looks, the whole way it looks, it looks big. It's like a big bike. Even if I stand a super bike next to it, it does look big. Interceptor, on the other hand, looks very classy. I think it's a very classy looking bike. It's a cool looking bike. Not as big as the Adventure 390, but of course that's lifted and all, that's an Adventure Tourer. But it has its own charm, I think, and especially this color. I know most of the people get that orange one, the plain color, but I think this one looks much better. That's just a personal choice, and that's what I've heard. But I think if you're getting one, you should get this dual painted one. So that's just the whole retro vintage kind of look that the Interceptor gives. It's very cool. So that's just the looks part. That's whatever you guys want to decide on your own. And now if we talk about the styling parts, yeah, they've got some old parts here. Like I don't really like this light because it looks kind of old. I mean something on a 1960-70. Maybe they've to give that charm, but the rest of the bike looks much cooler. So I don't know why they had to give this light. I think they could have changed this. The KTM on the other hand looks totally modern. You see these cool looking lights here. You see the entire way it's built. It's a cool looking bike. It's built for the purpose. It does what it has to do. Now if I talk about the tires and all, so you can see the problem is they don't even give a tubeless tire in the Royal Enfield Interceptor. These are not very good tires. In fact, they're Zoomers, okay, which are C8. They're not supposed to be very good tires, and they are not even semi-tubeless. Most of the bikes now get semi-tubeless. So if you put a alloy in the same, they can just convert into a tubeless. Enfield has not given you that option. So if tomorrow you need to change these tires to make it a tubeless, you'll have to buy alloys as well as new tires. So that's going to be a 13,000-14,000 expenditure for you. And if you see the KTM, I've got Metzeler here. The new ones have MRF. So, but these are alloys and they're tubeless. So, yeah, you save that money there. So, even though the KTM is a little more expensive than the Interceptor by 40,000, 13,000 of the cost is covered up here only. So, that actually becomes a more expensive bike in the end. You'll see how. Okay, now I'll tell you other stuff like I got these mirrors put. So there were some cool retro mirrors. 4,000 I got them put for 4,200. KTM as such accessories are nothing because this is already a full fitted bike, so you don't really need to put anything here. Now if I talk about the tech, basically there's no tech here. So I think it's only got ABS and they've given you a little digital meter here, and of course it doesn't have traction or anything else. Rest your basic lights. So yeah, it's really built raw. I mean the fuel thing is you don't even have a gear change, which is actually there in the Meteor. They have not given it in the Interceptor. So yeah, now I'll just go to the KTM, and now this is where KTM breaks away the competition. Now you look at the KTM. You have a RPM meter, okay, you have a ABS off-road mode, you have a traction on and off, you have a ABS which can go into off-road mode, you have cornering ABS, you have, wait, I'll just show you. Okay, so you have KTM My Ride, you can connect your audio, navigation, pairing for your phone. That's Bluetooth right there. Then of course you have the entire trips thing. Okay, then you have motorcycle, you have MTC. See, you can even turn this off if you want to. And ABS comes with off-road mode. This fucking bike has a quick shifter, and you can turn it off. And it's not even got a quick shifter; it's got an auto blipper, which means you can change gears up and down both. Okay, and I think that's about it. So you have all your selectors and rotors and display theme and shift, and this got a lot of stuff. It's also got cornering ABS, and it's also got a plug point, which sorry, it's not there. Okay, yeah, it's right there. So it's got a plug point as well, and that is one big advantage of this motorcycle. So you can just take your GoPro or phone, and if you're traveling, you can just take your wire, and you can take that charger and just put it there and start the bike. So you can see this bike is quite loaded. Plus, of course, it's got a windshield. So I have done 150 on this bike, 150, 155. It's easy. Interceptor does not come with a windshield, and the one they give at the as a add-on is a very shitty one. And I've seen a lot of Interceptors with that, but I don't get it. Why would you put that? First of all, the look is of this 2 meters, right? So that looks get fucked, and that they don't actually make sense because they don't really deflect shit. So I don't know, people just want to put accessories because they want to put accessories, which is kind of weird to me. But another good thing about the Interceptor is finally they've given you liquid cooling. So that's something which is good now. You can do that. This of course comes with liquid cooling. If you see the seat, this seat is much wider and broader, and it has a little curve in it. So it's easier to sit. Plus it's a big seat. So I find this much more comfortable as compared to this, which is basically just a straight seat. And this is like something like a comfort seat I've got put. So it's not uncomfortable, but I think on a long ride that would be much more comfortable than this. And a lot of people do complain. Plus you need to put some risers in this because the handlebar comes a little down compared to my height. A lot of people have to put risers in the Interceptor. So probably that. Then of course this got gauge shockers. This has a monoshock in the middle, which is quite effective because you do off-roading. Suspension, of course, the KTM has a better suspension than the Interceptor because it's an off-roading bike. I have literally gone at 70-80 in rocks and broken road, and I just sailed through them. This is like something like a endeavor of cars, like the way you people off-road, you can off-road this. I did do off-roading on the Interceptor recently, but I had massive wrist and knee buzzing the next day. So not really recommended. You can do it. Plus, without a puncture kit, I don't know how much that's going to work out, because if you get a puncture, you'll get screwed. So all in all, that's the kind of comparison between these two bikes. And there is a certain other things like, okay, I did pay a lot more for servicing. I paid around 2,900 for the Interceptor. I paid only 1,800 for the KTM. So that way the service cost is even low in the KTM compared to the Interceptor. The good thing about the Interceptor is this is a world-class engine. This is a twin 650 engine, and it's beautiful to drive. I mean, I can just ride this bike the entire day. It's fun. The KTM has a single cylinder, which is kind of rattly, but it's better if you want to rip, because this engine, this bike, the way it's built, it wants you to go fast, and they've given you everything in tech, and also you can actually do that. Interceptor, of course, I do ride this fast too, but yeah, the engine's world class, but brakes and all are again better on the KTM than on the Interceptor, which is of course because that has traction control and this just has ABS. But the brakes are not bad on this actually. I kind of like this thing to kind of balance the bike. If you go through a bump, it does help. If sometimes you're riding fast and you leave your hands to do something, so this does kind of help you. So, or actually it's mainly if you're going through a hard bump and you fall, so the bike doesn't get destabilized. So Interceptor ride quality wise, I would say is better than the KTM. But then the KTM can go anywhere. KTM can go faster. You can be a hooligan. It has better handling. Not that this handles bad, but that goes in a corner pretty well. I went in a corner on the Interceptor and I had a little bit of an issue. There was a car in front and I had to because it's a heavier bike, so it takes time to cut. The KTM doesn't have any such issues. It can just corner. End of it depends what you personally like. Both have their advantages, disadvantages. Of course, on paper, the KTM is a much better bike, much more capable, much more tech, and they're equally fast. I think the KTM might be reaching 140, 150 faster than the Interceptor, or maybe they reach equally, but it's more comfortable on that than it is on this at a higher speed. And I personally could only keep one of them, I would keep the Interceptor because I can do trails on this, I can tour on this. The seat is bigger, it's got more tech. I think overall the KTM would be a better bike for me. The Interceptor has fantastic engine and I love riding this too. So luckily I have both of them. But if I could only afford one, I would still go for the KTM because I prefer tech over nostalgia now. So yeah, that's more or less about it. And keep following my channel, keep following my Instagram for more such reviews, because I'll be doing a lot of traveling now. So you will get to know the advantages of both motorcycles. Thank you so much.